The sign is beautiful out there. I know a lot of you had something to do with it, and I appreciate your efforts. The baseball players should feel like that's partly theirs, because they put in the hard work and the dedication to make it possible. Thanks again. Thank you for all of you for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you.
This time, we thought that we would kind of have like an open mic forum here for anyone that would like to just come up and say a few words about Don and what he meant to you as a player and just some of the things that we, just heard. And so we're just going to kind of open it up for anybody that would like to come up. I believe that Rick Yandoli would like to come up and start us off, and if he could, so please, Rick. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. So here I am again speaking. I apologize for being a little long-winded earlier today, but it came from the heart. So we just, I guess, a little random, right?
Yeah, it's random. I mean, okay. Certainly talk about some of the years you had, the teams, the players.
Wow. So you've been a lot of tears in my life. So I get a little emotional when I think of my 4 years here, because they're the best 4 years of my life. I'm from Queens, New York, and I always, for anyone who's from the island or the 5 boroughs of New York City, you might be able to identify with this. Back in 1973, when I came up here, I thought anything north of the Whitestone Bridge was a country. And I come to Oneonta, it was a culture shock to me. But it quickly, the first day that I arrived here, I quickly knew it was the right spot. Someone had said this during their Hall of Fame induction ceremony yesterday, you know it's a right fit when you know it's right. And as soon as I arrived on the baseball field for practice, Coach Axtell, I knew it was right. I had received 2 or 3 letters from Coach during the summer of '73 after I graduated high school, welcoming me and discussing various things he wanted us to do to get ourselves ready. And I think that, the great thing about anyone who's played for Coach over the many years that he's coached is that everyone who ever played with him had a piece of Coach within them. I've always felt that you only want to align yourself with someone if you believe in what it is that they're advancing as a message. And long before I met Coach, I always had believed in his style of life, his style of play. So when he came here, I said, wow, this is a perfect fit. And so I arrived here, I was 17 years old, and Coach had already built a great legacy through 1973. And I felt like, even though it was a big 3, it was for any Yankee fan, it was the New York Yankees, so it was wonderful. And the players that were here, when I arrived, just great players. My God, pitching staff, and I could just go through all the names, but I don't want to bore everyone. They were just all highly talented. And Coach, as I mentioned earlier this morning, was so much of a believer in the importance of fundamentals. And I mentioned this earlier before to someone, when anyone ever describes an individual in sport or in life, and the buzzwords of passion and the buzzwords of sincerity and integrity and moral aptitude and vision and perseverance, when those buzzwords are aligned with someone, that's all wonderful and it's meaningful. But sometimes along the way, what gets lost in the shuffle is the skill set of someone. When someone's a hustling ball player, yeah, but wait a minute, he hit 340. I mean, there's a lot more to the person beyond those buzzwords that shape the character. So Coach has all of these great personality profile, characteristics that make him a great human being. But beyond that, and I can't emphasize this enough, from guys who played for him and with me know this, he's a great baseball coach. And I played for a few of them before, and I played on a lot of different all-star teams. There's no one who knew the game like Coach, no one who could execute, no one who could prepare his team, no one who knew the basis for excellence for every position and how to get you to advance your mindset towards achieving that excellence. Then, of course, the behavioral piece, which is so important. And he understood that, behavior, with talent and with hard work, will evolve into success. And I always felt in life it's never an accident when somebody has a long, sustaining career of excellence no matter what it is they do. And it's no accident that Coach Axtell has been so excellent at what he's done over the years. You know, it's just continuity, it's consistency. You know, there was a great book written maybe 6 years ago by the name of Outliers. It talks about the 10,000-hour rule, where it discusses is if you do something 20 hours a week for 52 weeks a year, it's 1,000 hours a year, over a 10-year period, it's 10,000 hours, and you get pretty darn good what you did, or what it is you're looking to do. And in this book it speaks about the Beatles, who used to practice every night for 3 years straight, and they became so perfectly robotic, and Tiger Woods, and all the great examples in this country's history of people who became excellent. The coach is that way, was that way, and made us that way. So, I'm going to be random. So we're walking in the room to speak about his excellence and what he believed in. And I've made eye contact with George Seeley, who, by the way, I had the privilege to play 1.5 years with. I was a catcher. He was a great catcher. He's a Hall of Fame inductee in 2005. And I was teasing him before. We were on the field. I saw some dents in the Hunt building that's still there from some of the balls he hit. The man could hit, the man could play. He was a great ball player. So anyway, that's it. I'm here, and I see George walk in, and he looks at the little wiffle ball, we make eye contact, and the unspoken word, for anybody else who knows what it means, it was part of the great drills that Coach had us become part of soft toss, and all the great things that helped our eye-hand coordination. Coach understood hitting a baseball, it's about repetition. It's about repetition. There's nothing else in this world that you're considered great at if you achieve it at 30% level. Nothing. If you hit 300, you're God, right? If you complete 30% of your passes, they shoot you dead. 30% of your foul shots hit, but the coach understood that, and it was just about repetition. And so that drill, right, George? And all the other pieces here of, you know, Coach's legacy. Just, you know, if you have any emotion in you, you play with it, it brings a teary eyes because it just reminds you, it takes you back. And a coach, like all great leaders, really left footprints in the sand, left his legacy, and his legacy, I think, you know, I mentioned this last year. And I know that Oneonta State has become a great brand and a powerful brand for so many reasons. But back then, in the late 60s through the 70s, I think the bricks and mortar were being built. You know, certainly beforehand, but I mean, when I was there, I can only speak to when I was there, there was so many great things happening. And in addition to Coach Axtell being a great human being and coach, he is and was and still is. You had Coach Stam and Coach Llewellyn, you know, Coach Sosa, you had, you know, everyone for their own individual specific sport, you know, marching to the beat of the same drum. It was a beautiful time. We were, you know, we had a great sports program, we had great pride, we were great at what we did. We won everything that we did, and everything that we strived for. We didn't win it all, we came close to winning it all. And it's just a great run, you know. And, but nothing happens by accident, and nothing happens easy. And Coach Axtell was the reason why, on the baseball side, it all happened. And I like to think that, you know, when he handed the ball off to all the subsequent people, and I know there's a great program in play now, and all the young gentlemen here who are playing baseball, I'm watching them today, I'm watching last year, and he got some great talent out there, and I know Coach Grimm's a great guy, he's doing a great job, and, you know, it's just about carrying, you know, the legacy forward. And easier said than done, but I know we'll get done, it's been done for years, and it's just all about, you know, the basic ingredients of life. It sounds simplistic, but, you know, it's really about a lot of hard work, a lot of perseverance, a lot of tenacity, you know, and a lot of results, you know, at some point. But, you know, I was involved in the McDonald's business for a lot of years. And the gentleman who created McDonald's, his name is Ray Kroc, and he had a lot of great quotes attributed to him. But there's one quote of all of them that were attributed to him that is hanging outside of the 23 McDonald's regional offices in this country. And what Ray Kroc said was, "The world is full of educated derelicts, but perseverance is omnipotent." You know, so not to be dismissive of education, but man, you know, you knock on the door. You know, just what I've always believed in, one of the things I've always tried to aspire to, and certainly after Coach came into my life, it became my calling card. Just do the things that nobody else wants to do. Because you have a lot of mediocrity in society. If you just run at it hard, and if you're willing to do the things that no one else will do, you'll usually get to where you want to be. You know what I mean? So Coach taught us that. You know, it's carried with us later on in our life, for all of us. You know, and you know, you spoke about some of the players, Jeff. I'm going to talk about some of the great guys. I mean, I had the pleasure. I had a great pitching staff. I mean, I had a great staff. And Coach recruited well and taught them well. And I have Roger Weaver, who's here today. I don't know if he's here anymore. But man, he played God Almighty in the mountain. So I caught him for 3 years, 2 no-hitters. He got drafted by the Tigers. Played in their system for 6 years. He had a great fastball, his ball moved, had a great slider, ball broke a mile. He had great, baseball IQ, great hitter, like George. He put tents in the building as well, Roger Weaver, great right fielder, and coach did a great job coaching him. And what was interesting, when I was a sophomore, he was the #3 pitcher in the staff, because we had Mike Blanche, who was outstanding with Glenn Siegel, and Tommy Bean, and so many great pitchers later on. So we always had a great pitching staff, we had great hitting, we had just so many great guys, man. I can talk about them forever, but just 4 best years of my life, and the reason why they were the 4 best years of my life was because of Coach Axtell. So I'm very proud to be, a member of that team, proud to be a member of the school. I'm humbled by the induction last year, and everyone here who's playing, you guys have a real great opportunity to advance your lives, whether it continues on the ball field or whether it continues in life. But there's a lot of application of what you're doing to what you do later on. Trust me, I know it. I never thought I'd be sitting in this chair at the age of 58 and sounding my age. I was 17 and a half hours ago when I came to the freshman. But so many things happen in your life, that have application to sport. They really do. It sounds corny when you hear it, but it ain't. Just you stay with the dynamics you learn, whether it's responsibility and dedication, and perseverance and teamwork, and having you guys back. And it's not a perfect world. You go at each other someday, you'll beat the hell out of each other in the locker room someday, and it's happened to me. But it's just, if the good far outweighs the bad, it becomes a great situation for you, a great platform to get to where you have to be. So.
Thank you very much.
Is Coach's children. So Jody's here today, and John is here today. And of course, Coach has another great young man's son, Jimmy. So I was teasing Jody about this before. So when I played 73 through 77, doing that about 58, John, how old? 48, so he's 10 years young. So he was 7, and maybe Jody's a little old. And they viewed us through different sets of eyes back then. And it was so interesting when we talk about how they've been able to view subsequent generations of ball players who played for Coach later on, and now they're able to visualize Coach's entire career. We talked about this before with Jody, through the different eras of ball players, and they kind of align it with their dad, and they align it with their lives, and it's so symmetrical. So I think this is beyond baseball today. It's beyond a great man, his family, just a lot of great things. And by the way, you did a great job. You did great job.
It's not too many times that you get a do-over. Yesterday, after I had my talk, I said to Jeff, "Oh man, Jeff, there's a couple things I would have liked to have said, and there, it's like, well, it is what it is." There are a couple more things that just came to my mind yesterday after I got off the stage, and I look back there, and I see the number 14 on that mannequin, and I'm saying, "Wasn't Coach. That wasn't Coach at all. Those arms? Are you kidding me? Coach's arms were like that." I said, "Yes, sir. It's like Popeye." He was, without a doubt, the most fit person on this campus. I can remember one day we're traveling someplace. We're in a hotel, and we're traveling with Spider Bailey. You guys call him Spider Bailey because we all call him Spider Bailey. Somebody gave Coach Bailey that nickname, and called him Spider Bailey. But anyway, Jeff, that junior year, Jeff Bray was one of the captains, and he had to go talk to Coach about something. So he goes over to this door in the hotel room, knocks on the door, and Coach goes, "Come on in." So Jeff opens the door, and here's Coach on the ground, on his back, doing sit-ups. Spider Bailey's holding his legs. Coach is doing sit-ups in the hotel room. And Jeff just confessed, he's not going to believe what I just saw.
That's great.
So, and then, I wanted to just mention, anybody that's played for Coach knows the rules and regulations, no long hair, no side hair or something, and everybody knew that if you're going to play for Coach at Oneonta, that's the rules, that's what you're going to live by. And our senior year, I was captain, one of the captains of the team on our senior year. Shit, hold that, put it on the flag. So anyway, I'm one of the captains, and in the campus newspaper, somebody started writing letters criticizing one or two of the coaches, and Coach Axtell in particular, about backwards methods. And you know, coaches not being up to date, and we need younger, new, modern coaches with modern ideas, and you know, the idea of short hair and you know, all these rules is passed, and we have to make changes, and we were mad. The team was mad. You know, our best friends. I mean, Coach, I think that this was part of it. You know, with these rules, we all lived it together, and we all got closer together. You know, and I'm thinking that Coach might have had something like that in mind, because you know, we walk out here in the 60s and 70s, and the typical haircut is well below the ears, not us. You know, we're above the ears, and the sideburns, you know, they've got to be trimmed, and we stood out. I think that was part of Coach's plan, because we grew closer. Meanwhile, I got so mad that I told the guys on the team, I said, I'm going to write a letter. And I wrote a letter, all the players signed it. Just more or less down with the person, mind your own business. If we didn't like it, we wouldn't be playing. If we didn't respect it, we wouldn't be playing. And this is exactly what we expect and what we are looking for. You want to argue with success? Go ahead and argue with success. But this man gets results. We love him, and we're not changing. And all the players signed it, and it was really great. It was really a... for all the teams that I was associated with. And by the way, Coach, over here is Mike Davis. I know you haven't seen Mike Davis in a number of years. We came over to see you, and we're going to want to talk to you at some point, you know, as soon as things break up a little bit. But just one more of our group come back to say goodbye to Coach. And it's just, it's unbelievable. I've talked to so many people here, and it's just been such a great weekend. And we decided that our players from our team is we're going to get together and try to bring some of these guys in from over the country where they're scattered out, and just have a weekend maybe next summer sometime. And it's all your fault that this is happening. Thank you very much.
I hope you're going to remember this, because my life has come full circle. The first day I met you was in this building. We had an appointment to meet. It was a snowstorm. My dad and I came up. You called my house and you told my mom that we shouldn't come because it was a snowstorm, but we were already on the road. We finally arrived. We met you in the Union upstairs, and you proceeded to tell me I was a transfer student in, and you proceeded to tell me, well, what positions do you play? I like catch, third, pitch to first base. And you sat there and you said to me, catch is not going to happen, I got Ricky Yandoli. Third base is not going to happen, I got another young freshman. First base is not going to happen, I got another young man here. And pitching, if you can't throw a curveball, I don't need you. And I sat there and I said to myself, what am I doing? And on the ride back home with my dad, I said, Dad, what am I doing? My dad told me, when he's met you for the first time, you go play for that man, because that man will teach you something. And what I want to do is I want to thank you for not just teaching me the game of baseball, but teaching me to be a man, to help me in my life. And that's what I want to thank you about. I want to thank his wife. I want to thank his kids for sharing him with us. He's a great man. This day has been, well, too long, and he deserves more. I just want to thank everybody, and thank the Axtell family.
I've never been lost for words, so be prepared to stay overnight. Seriously, I listened to a lot of people over the years talk about Coach, and there's nothing that I could really add. You've heard it. It's pretty much the same type of thing. All the accolades that he should have had a long time ago and everything like that. At least we had the opportunity to honor Coach now. And I've talked with Coach several times. one-on-one, like I'm sure that we all have. We all have our stories, little incidents and everything like that. And everything is true. It's amazing when you start to take what players are saying, what George is saying, what Hoyt is saying, other players that I talk with, and everything comes back to be the same exact thing about Coach. That he taught us to be men. Taught us a lot more than that. One thing I'll say, and I graduated in 7, I played 2 years here. I came in as a transfer from Rockland Community where I played my 2 championship teams down there. And then coming into Oneonta, I remember I had been accepted at another school, and there was a question of having to possibly get into Oneonta or reject Geneseo. And I was told by Geneseo I had to make the decision by 12 o'clock. And I called Oneonta on Friday, I told them, here's the situation. And they said, well, you're going to go before the board later on. And at that point it was, okay. I said, we'll have an opportunity, do you think, to be accepted at Oneonta? And the question I was asked is, I noticed you play baseball at Rockland. When I'm playing baseball, I said, I'd love to play baseball. You cut me go baseball for a while, I don't have any blood. But the thing was that I said, okay, and I rolled the dice. I came up to Oneonta. Oneonta were the 2 best years of my life, besides being married and having a family. In my life, those were the 2 best years because the people that I met through baseball, but it was also what we meant on the campus outside of that, what was brought into our life. One of the things that was different for me than anybody practically on this campus, I was in the National Guard. So if you want to take the National Guard military, active military, Coach knows it, because there were times that I had missed certain meetings to make up my guard meetings and all. But there were things that I went through that were same as being military, nothing that a lot of other guys could do. And yet, Coach was there, putting out a program, making us men. He often talked about his time in the military and playing sports and everything else. And that's what made us men. We had heads and tails above everything. I didn't think Kent State was right because of being in the Guard. And that happened. I was in a very difficult position. Everybody on campus knew I was in the Guard. But yet I was able to take my military background and also hone it in with the things that Coach did, making us men. He made us understand certain things. Jimmy Jenkins, one of my best friends on the team, we were talking probably about 10 years ago. We were talking business, and I said something, this, you know, you're always afraid to be a failure, and everybody has that type of thing, whatever you do in life. And he said, us, you know what it is? We'll never be failures, because Coach wouldn't let us be failures. It's what he taught, not by taking us and saying, okay, this is how you're going to be a success. It's the program that he worked with as an individual. You stood up for your responsibilities, whether it was on the field, whether it was off the field, and everything else. Not everybody enjoyed those. We lost a very good ball player who wound up playing in AAA, almost making up with Detroit, from what I understand, and never saw him play. He was a good ball player, but he didn't want to go according to Coach's rules. That didn't matter, okay? So he's not here. We also had an incident where one of our best ball players was hurt in a traffic accident when we were picking up some side money and running via trucks out to make deliveries. And one of the guys had an accident outside of Toledo. Mark Fedports, who was in the picture, was riding along with that. Well, they didn't make the scheduled comeback from Detroit in time for our game on Monday down at Trenton State. Coach suspended both players. And one guy, Brian Hassett, and I'm not talking out of school when I say this, but Brian had dislocated his shoulder. He was over and done with for the season as far as we were concerned. Mark stayed with Brian at the hospital, came back, and Mark was also suspended. And what happened was that he said to Coach, he said, but Coach, I stayed to help Brian because he was hurt and everything else. And he said, but Mark, he says, you missed the practice, you missed us going down to Trenton. He said, yeah, but I stayed with Brian. And Coach said, I'm glad that you did that, but that's what I expected of you. As a team, we could have gone and said, Coach, what are you doing? Please, we need Mark to get you a good picture and everything like that. But no, what we banded through and said was, okay, let's look at it that Mark was just as hurt and lost to us for the season as Brian was. What Coach was teaching us was to accept the responsibility. Here's something, how do you deal with it? And not specifically saying, okay, we had an incident, but all of the different things that he did in training us, in the work that we did and everything like that, running the hallways. If anybody hasn't heard that story, get it from somebody else because I don't want to take too much time. But there were things that we hated to do, but anybody would hate to do. And it was a question of wanting to do it to become champions. Our goal was above the pain or the getting up at 5:30 in the morning and coming to practices and everything, because that's what made you champions. And that's also what led to us becoming successful later on in life. And that doesn't mean becoming the President of the United States, or it doesn't mean becoming the President of IBM or being wealthy. It just means making us men and everything else. And Coach knows that in my conversations, he's had a lot of influence on my life in many different ways. And I know, again, as I've said before, everybody that's talked has said the same type of thing. So I think Coach had it right, not just for me or for other guys, but everybody that's served. Thank you.
I quickly want to say, echo so many of the sentiments of everyone else. And I'm very proud of being an alumni of Oneonta State. I'm very proud. But I know that everyone here considers themselves an Axtell alumni. And that is the thread that binds us all. I've talked to players from the 70s, 80s and 90s. My Pat Knott's here, Chris Williams, Rick Flanagan. We span decades. And you could put us all in the room. Rick and I were talking about this earlier. You could put us in a room and we could tell the same story. We know the same man. 40 years we know the same man. And one of the things that I often talk to my students about today is sometimes our society seems to be awash in a certain moral flexibility. People have pick and choose principles. And we were all blessed to spend a lot of time with a man that has no moral flexibility, that believes in right and wrong, and he walks the walk. And Coach, I thank you for showing that to me, showing to me that that is how a man is supposed to be. You're supposed to have your beliefs, you're supposed to have your values, you're supposed to have your principles, and you're not supposed to compromise. So I thank you very much for that. I'm sure that everyone here echoes the same sentiment. You've made us all better people. You've made us all better men. We're better husbands, we're better fathers, we're better citizens. And it's all because of the impact that you had in our life. My life is completely different today because I met you. The greatest thing that ever happened to me, that has ever happened in my life, was that I was blessed with absolutely no ability in the game of baseball. That's the best thing that happened. Because what happened as a result of that, I spent 4 years sitting next to Coach. I spent 4 years listening to everything he had to say. He's much funnier than people know also. It's a very dry sense of humor. Some of the things he would say, he'd give me a little wry Coach smile. And by all accounts, I know I'm a coach now. By all accounts, Coach should have cut me all of my freshman year. He should have said, "You're not good enough." Because I wasn't. I wasn't good enough. And he didn't do it. He didn't do it. He gave me an opportunity. And because of that opportunity, I got to develop as a person, as a man. And there isn't a day that goes by that I don't think about you, Coach, that I don't thank you for what you've done. I come home now and I'm dealing with my team, and I'll say to my wife, this situation occurred, and whenever I lack clarity, she will always say, well, what would Coach do? Clarity comes. So I can't express strongly enough how important you've been to me. And again, I know that I'm just saying what everyone else feels. And the greatest tribute that any man can have, Coach, is what you have here today, the legacy that you leave and the lives that you touch. So thank you very much for that.
Mike Padmore, class of '89. I came here as a loudmouth, know-it-all, cursing, throwing helmets and bats. We all know how long that lasted. 0, 1 time. When I threw a helmet or a bat, I heard him say, "Scott, loosen up, I'm going short." No. There I sat watching Scott play short for 1 game. And boy, did I apologize to him. It never happened again. And I don't tolerate it with my kids either. He's a guy, and we were talking, Chris Williams and I were talking, he's not a guy that would tell you to do things. If you needed a haircut or a shave, he'd say, you're going to need to take care of that. You're going to want to take care of that. You're going to want to get your hair cut. Well, one funny story we have about Coach, and I apologize for my impression of Coach, was the hey! We were in Lynchburg, and we had a terrible game, we got killed. And we were up late watching All the Right Moves, which is a high school football movie. Anybody remembers that movie? And we got killed by Lynchburg. After the game, he sits us down and goes, "You know why we lost?" A couple guys said, "Lack of desire, Coach." That's a good one. That's not it. How about hustle, Coach? We didn't have any hustle today. Well, that's a good one too. That's not it. And he wouldn't let us off the hook. We went about 10 deep with this. And finally he said, he goes, "You didn't get your proper rest. You were up watching that rinky-dink high school football movie at all hours of the night, and you didn't get your rest. And I'm sure you didn't eat well in the morning either." But anyway, I want to thank you for bringing me here. I was a transfer student. I wasn't going to go on with a 4-year degree, but I played against Coach at Connecticut Community College, and he said to me, "What are you doing with the next 2 years of your life?" I need a shortstop. And here I am. And I'll always come back here. My home. Thank you.
Talked about Don as far as the coach is concerned, and I came to Oneonta when Don came, and I've had a chance for almost 45 years, almost 45 years or so, to deal with Don in a lot of capacities. And one of the things that I want people to understand is not only did he do for you prior players great things, but he did great things for the other faculty and staff that we had at Oneonta. He was always one that you could go to and talk to, and he would give you his honest opinion, because that's the type of person he was. I'm going to tell you one other thing, that Don not only was a good baseball coach, but he's a real good golfer. And Don and I, for years, along with his son, have got up at 6 o'clock in the morning on various golf courses in which we go out and play, and I hit a good shot, and Don would say, "Not bad, not bad." And I chip up and I hit it right on the green and I put it in and I got a birdie. And he'd say, "Not bad, not bad, not good, but not bad." I did this with him for 20 years, in which we were going back and forth, and he would ask me, he'd say, "What do you think of that shot?" And I'd say, "Not bad." And I got back at him all the time, because he not only knew when there was a good shot, but he would then follow up in golf with the next shot. But the most interesting story that I ever had with Don was when I took my tennis team to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we played tennis, and we did a great job, but I knew that he was located in Hilton Head. and he said, let's get together and play golf. I knew right away that he knew a golf course that he was going to whip me on real good when he mentioned that. So I decided to bring 2 of my players along, because tennis players can also play golf, usually. So I had some good golfers on my tennis team. So Don, myself, and 2 of my tennis players went to this golf course in Hilton Head. And my players said, as we were on the first tee, let's make a big wager on this match. Well, Don, I knew that he would never make a wager on this match. And all of a sudden he turned to me and said, well, who are the teams? So my guys said, the young guys will play against you old guys. As soon as he said that, Don's juices started. And they started to increase. So we were on the first hole, and the boys hit down, and they parred the hole, but we parred the hole. I said, Don, if we do this, we're going to get beat. He says, don't worry. He says, I'm just warming up. We're going to get really interested in this game. The next hole, he hits the ball. He says, I think I hit that ball pretty well. And I said, not bad. And what we did is we went up to the green and we looked, and he had hit a hole in 1. So I said to Don, that's better than not bad. So Don said, guys, did we win this hole? And of course the guys simply had their heads pulled down, and Don said, good. The game is over. So that's the type of thing that I want you to understand that exists not only with the team members, but also with other team members and other faculty. One of the greatest guys I've ever known. Best of luck.
Wow. There are a ton of emotions going through my body right now, and I just want to thank, man, the story. I mean, George, all the story from these great players. I came to Oneonta, played coach in 1989, my freshman year. I was from Long Island. I think I wore my hat like this. Those told me how to wear it right. You know, leadership to me is Coach Axtell. And I realized that I think the first alumni game when these players came back, and it was just a different way that, you know, there was a different type of connection that they had with Coach. And I didn't get that, you know, as a freshman, 18 years old, little punk from Long Island. But there was definitely a different way that they had, you know, there was a different type of relationship with Coach. And I didn't really understand that way back when, but you really start, you know, feeling it when you hear all these great stories. And I mean, it really is amazing to me, and how you've touched so many people. You know, I want to echo what George said. I want to thank the Axtell family. I mean, you actually, we borrowed Coach. You know, you shared Coach with us, and you know, there was, I mean, he was on the field all the time. There was no grounds crew. He was always taking care of that field. You know, you come up 1 o'clock, he's out there mowing the lawn. You know, I mean, amazing. And I don't know how many times he came home late, you know, and took time away from the family. So, you know, I want to thank them. You know, it was an amazing time in my life, obviously. And, you know, we had some nice success here. But again, just, you know, echoing what everyone's saying about being a man and learning about leadership. I tell you what, those 4 years of my life, that was the best business class I ever took, because, you know, business is all about leadership, and Coach is right on what he taught us well. And Coach, I want to thank you. Thank you for touching my life. I'll share one story. I actually had transferred. I came here. I hope you don't get mad about this, but I came here for 2 years, and then I transferred down to Florida. You know, again, wearing my hat like this, I thought So I went down there and I came back, and I'll never forget that conversation with Coach. Boy, I couldn't sleep the night before. Just, you know, I was going to go ask if I could play, you know, for him again. And, you know, Coach was great. He says, hey, you know, I got 4 other catchers. You know, you want a 5th string catcher? Sure, you want to come out for the team? No problem. But that's the kind of man he was. I mean, he could have, you know, he could have told me no, or, you know, he gave me an opportunity. The one thing about Coach, you earned everything you got. He didn't give you anything. You earned it. And Brooksy was saying in today's society, boy, you know, that, I think there's a little understatement there. You know, earning what you get. And so when I came back, and I remember my senior year, Coach. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember coming up to the field early, and you were in the dugout, and you know, you sat down, and you thanked me, and you said, I want to thank you for coming back. And that was the moment that I connected, and I felt like what the alumni had, that connection with you, and that relationship. So I want to thank you for moving me and you know, making me a better man. So thank you.
I'm Tracy Ranieri. I'm the athletic director here at Oneonta. This is ringing. And I want to say this is an incredible day. We're here to honor Don Axtell, who has been here at Oneonta from 1965 to 1994. At that time, I was a fledgling new coach here at Oneonta, and Don taught me more than I could say in words. And I think there's a lot of people here that certainly can say the same thing, that he wasn't teaching us about baseball as much as he was teaching us about life as well. Don is the most winning coach in Oneonta history with more than 400 wins. He has or shares more than 10 SUNY championships. He was the 4-time Coach of the Year. He was here for 30 years as a physical education faculty and the baseball coach. He also coached freshman soccer and basketball. And one of the most prestigious honors that he holds is he was so revered by all of the SUNY Conference that they named the Pitcher of the Year Award for the SUNY after him, the Don Axtell SUNY Pitcher of the Year. And last year, we actually won that award, and that young man is currently playing for the Tampa Bay Rays. And I am so proud that everybody's here. I also want to say that Dr. Klanuski, our president, is here, and Dr. Steve Perry, the vice president for student development, is here. There's a lot of people here at Oneonta that love athletics, that love Don Axtell, and I would be remiss to not say that attached to Don is his incredible family. Joanne is standing right next to him. His 3 beautiful children and the grandchildren are here as well. I am going to pass the mic to the captain of the 1977 team, Rick Yandoli. Not only the captain of that team, he was inducted into the Athletic Hall of Fame in 2013 to say a few words about Don. Here's Rick.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Good afternoon, everyone. Excuse me if I choose to read from some notes that I prepared. But it's great to be back in Oneonta State. The best 4 years of my life were 1973 through 1977. I was very privileged and honored to play with great teammates and the greatest coach that anyone could ever envision. I have met a lot of men in my life prior to coming to play for Coach Axtell, and certainly after graduating. And believe me when I tell you, excuse me, at the age of 58, I can certainly state that I never have met anyone with the integrity and the perseverance and tenacity and the standard of Coach Axtell, and nor will I ever. There were a couple of other things I would like to state before I hand the microphone over to Jim. Excuse me for one moment. Thank you, Jim. So I came across a piece of writing that I think has a lot of application to coach and all the great coaches who have the ability to impact people with their lives. Coaches are everyday heroes. Coaches inspire hopes. They nurture dreams and they encourage success. They show you that life means sometimes winning with honor and sometimes losing with grace. They support the talented, they comfort the troubled, and they promote great character. Coaches are truly everyday heroes. Thank you, Coach, for being a great coach. A few other just quick thoughts on Coach Axtell. Some of the great attributes that Coach had and still has was his fearlessness and his humility. And to me, it's a lethal combination. When someone can have the eye of the tiger and have their eye on a chosen task, but demonstrate leadership with humility where people will follow, it's dangerous for anyone that wants to compete with them, trust me. So Mr. Wilhelm yesterday during his Hall of Fame induction speech made a great point about Coach Axtell. And he said if there was anyone he would ever want in a foxhole with him, it would be Coach Axtell. I've always felt that way, and I feel that way to this day. That Coach Axtell is the type of individual that will always demonstrate the level of support and integrity that no one else can ever envision. In addition to that, Coach was a great teacher. Beyond his fearlessness, beyond his ability to lead, beyond his high standard, on the baseball side, he was a great coach, tremendous teacher of fundamentals. The 4 years that I had the privilege of playing with Coach and with some great teammates, some who are here with me today, we had great teams. We beat the heck out of everyone, no matter where we went. We won 2 or 3 SUNY conferences, 2 ECAC championships. We go down to Virginia and we would play Division I schools, and they wanted no part of us after a while because we were fundamentally sound. We had great character. We feared no one, and that's because of the man who led us. In addition to that, we were always striving for excellence because Coach showed us that there was only one way to go forward and advance your cause, and that was to strive for excellence. I've always felt that the sign of great leaders are people who can teach and lead where they don't even realize that they're teaching and leading. And that's certainly Coach Axtell. So in closing, because I can go on forever, as you can see, I wanted to congratulate Coach on a well-deserved award, well-deserved ceremony, certainly long overdue. You have touched the lives of many through your dedication to the highest standard of coaching and leadership. I thank you for everything that you've done for me as an athlete and as a man. And words cannot describe the depth of the appreciation that I have for you and what you've done. I will always wish you all the best, and God bless you.
Hello, I'm Jim Lozano. I played for Coach for 4 years, graduated in 1982. For some of you young guys, Coach Axtell is the person that built the reputation for this school. You know, Rick pointed out that we used to play against Division I schools. 50% of my games in my senior year were against Division I schools. And not only did we play them, but we beat them. And that was because what Coach taught us. In my life, I've had two mentors, coaches that meant the most to me. One is my dad. He played professionally, and he was always my coach. But the other one is Coach Axtell. And for me, one of the greatest compliments that Coach could have ever received happened the first game I pitched in college. I think I pitched against Lemoyne or Ithaca, and I got rocked. I mean, take the married men out of the infield, rocked. And I didn't know what to do. I went out to talk to my father in between games, and all he said to me is, look, you're here playing for one of the best coaches, listen to him. And the rest is history. I went on to be an all-conference player for the next 3 years, captain my senior year, and that was because of Coach, who taught me how to be determined and the discipline that has also transcended baseball and helped me in my business career. So, Coach, I congratulate you on this long, long overdue honor, and I thank you, as Rick did, for 4 of the best years of my life. And in closing, what I would like to do is pose a challenge to every alumnus that is here. I'm going to make a contribution today to the Oneonta Athletic Fund. One of the things I am 100% certain of, that when I played, Coach paid for things that we needed to run the program. I'm positive of that. So in order to help this program stay competitive and be the kind of program that we all want it to be as alumni, I challenge everybody to make a donation to the athletic fund in Coach's name. And so I thank you, and Coach, again, congratulations on this great honor. And now I'll turn it over to Brooks Alexander.
Thank you. I have so many sentiments to echo with Rick and Jim and everyone standing here, but I do want to address the current players briefly, just to say, while you're at Oneonta, embrace the opportunity. Spend time with Coach Grimm. Listen to what he has to say. Find out about him as a man. And don't only limit yourself to baseball. I look around here, I see Coach Fluellen, who spent many times talking to me. I see Coach Stam, who I spent many hours talking to, and I'm willing to bet he doesn't even remember, but I do. So the impact that a coach can have is great. And we're here to honor one of the greatest, Coach Axtell. Coach, I want to thank you for all that you did for everyone, for all of us that played for you. I have teammates here, Chris Williams, Nick Norvell, Greg Flanagan. You impacted us all. And I just want to say, as I've gone through my life as a coach, I can say the greatest compliment that any coach can receive is for another to say, I would want my son to play for that man. I would want my son to play for you, Coach. I thank you for everything. You're a wonderful man. Thank you.
So at this time, the greatest honor that we can bestow on a retired coach is to retire their jersey. And if we could turn to center field and watch Tim from the class of 1989 and Mike from the class of 90 jog out to the fence line, we're hoping that they don't pull a muscle. In the greatest tradition that we have at Oneonta, can we please unveil the retiring of number 14, Don Axtell.